back at Coastal Dyno, hanging out with Sam. Got the GT500 on the dyno. It made, what, 930 or something like that?
Yeah, like 935, 630 foot-pounds of torque.
So we're going to go for more. So we got some new parts. As you can see, we got a prototype JLT cold air intake with a big giant filter. And we've got a big giant throttle body from VMP.
Yeah, 105 millimeter. The factory throttle body is 92. So we're going to try and stagger the installation. We're going to do the intake first just to see. I have a suspicion that we're losing a lot of airflow just through the factory intake. So this unit will be available, I think, Jay said, in 30 or so days. So
okay. Yeah, this is a prototype, 3D printed, but it's the right shape. It's what you're going to get if you got a GT500, right?
Exactly. And they'll also be coming with most likely a new airbox also. Right now we're just using the factory airbox. Like I say, total prototype. It's just for testing purposes.
And real quick, what's done to the car to get to the point where we are with 930 something horsepower?
Yeah, right now it's got American Racing long tubes on it. It's got a Joker's Performance ported blower, Grip Tech 245 pulley. It's on E85, ID 1300 injectors, and a JMS booster pump, and that's it. And we're probably actually running way too small of a pulley on the car right now, but we're not putting a lot of timing to it. We're just, being careful with what we're doing and taking it step by step.
Hey, and they're brand new, so it's all experimentation
Exactly.
anyway, right?
Yeah, for sure.
All right, let's get back in the shop, and this would be a pretty easy install. We'll throw the parts on, and then we'll put the throttle to the floor.
10-4.
All right, so here's a look at what we got going on. We already took the factory lid off. Sam previously installed a free-flowing filter. And just like any cold air intake, you're gonna disconnect some sensor wires and clamp to the throttle body. This unit will come out, no big deal. Here's a little comparison between the JLT and the factory. Sucker is huge.
We already pulled the filter off just so we can get a look inside and see exactly the difference between the two. Yeah, like I say, the inside of this is 3D printed, so it's not going to be like the production piece.
Quite a bit larger on the JLT, and obviously it doesn't have the ribs.
Yeah.
So the turn should be a little bit smoother. Do a little compare. Let's hold them next to each other like this. Yeah, you can see in the radius, the JLT is much larger. It's obviously larger at the filter opening, but the radius is much bigger. So this kind of chokes down, still enough to make 760 plus.
Oh yeah, absolutely. The only thing that you physically are going to be reusing out of this is going to be this sensor right here. It should just turn and pull out, and you can throw this in the JLT uses just a grommet. You just kind of slide it back in there like so. So the JLT unit actually comes with its own airbox. Don't have that as of yet. So what we're going to do just for testing purposes right now, we're going to go ahead and just remove the factory airbox so that we can get the JLT in there on the dyno.
Hey Sam, before you throw that on, I see the filter has this screen. What's going on with that?
Yeah, that's usually for like a mass air car. This kind of smooths out the intake of the air. Obviously on this vehicle that isn't really necessary because we don't have a mass air. All right.
All right, we're back in the car. Sam's doing a little computer work.
Yeah, so we're gonna make another pull now. We haven't changed anything at all in the tune from our baseline. still only running the car at 8,000 RPM. We're not running any higher than that, just to be fair with the differences between the two. What a lot of people may notice when we do dyno pulls here is we're actually on a load-bearing dyno. So we're actually loading the car to the weight that the car would physically be pushing on the street. That's why you see that our dyno runs are a lot longer than you would see on, like, say, a dyno jet that was non-loaded, or some of the other dynos that don't have loading capability.
On the boost, you could watch the tack really just take a jump. That's when it spun the tire, right? Yeah.
So 962 horsepower.
Yes.
667 foot-pounds of torque. So we picked up from the intake more or less 30 horsepower to the rear wheels. Just from putting the intake on, so pretty impressive.
And you didn't even tune it, so...
Nah, we haven't done anything. This thing's still... We've got, you know, just to be perfectly honest and upfront with everybody, I've got a lot of power pulled out of the car down low. It's not going to affect what peak numbers we're seeing. You know, you can argue that, you know, people are concerned more with peak numbers than through the curve numbers, but
right. We
had pulled a lot of power out of it for NMRA when we were trying to get the car to not spin and so on and so forth. But
that was just literally a part off, part on test. So anytime, especially with new cars, but really any hot rod, anytime you do a cold air or a new carburetor or a new whatever, a new throttle body, it's going to take a little bit of tuning. It's going to like a little bit of different timing, maybe a little bit of fuel trimming.
Exactly.
So there's definitely more than that 30 horsepower in that cold air. That was literally just as if you did it trackside.
Exactly.
And didn't tune the car.
100%.
So what's your next move now?
We're just going to do the same thing. You know, we want it to be apples to apples throughout the whole deal. So we'll pull the intake off, pull the stock throttle body off, put the throttle body back on with the JLT and see what we pick up from there. But really no reason to do the throttle body with the stock intake. That's just not really something that I don't believe anybody would do that.
All right, so here's a look at the curve before and after on horsepower and torque, and you can see the brighter color on each, on the yellow and green is the after, the lighter underneath is the before. So this is a mod that picked up power from the hit of the throttle all the way to red line.
Yeah, without doing anything else whatsoever, you know, you're picking up 30 plus wheel horsepower on a car that is, you know, already modified. On a stock car, I would probably expect to see very similar gains.
All right, intake's out of the way. Next up, remove the throttle body. Pretty straightforward, right, Sam?
Yeah, the only thing that's maybe a little bit different that some people may not have at home would be the T45 bit that's required to pull the bolts out of the throttle body.
All right, here's a quick comparo between the stock throttle body right here at 92 millimeters across and the VMP unit at 105. You can see the stock one takes a gasket and the VMP has this really nice O-ringed rubber gasket for sealing. It's just the 4 bolts. It comes with the electronics. Give you a look at the front side. Nice and smooth entry. There's a look at the factory one. Quite a bit larger. Should flow a lot more air. And we're hoping for some more horsepower.
Yeah, this unit actually is going to use a paper gasket because when we port the snout of the blower, if you look in here, we've actually cut out the O-ring that would normally seal the throttle body to the blower snout itself.
Right, and then we already showed you that the throttle body, if you're using a stock setup, comes with that O-ringed gasket or whatever, and the spacer, so you can just go ahead and bolt it right on with that.
Exactly.
So did you take out that O-ring?
No, we left the O-ring on there. It's not,
okay.
It's not really going to affect anything. Should be it.
All right, let's make some power. All right, so we worked late on the throttle body last night and had a couple tuning things that we had to work on. Sam seems to have her dialed in, so we're back for a little more dyno action, right, Sam?
One more, we'll see where we get.
All right. Sounds pretty good on the shift.
Yeah.
Sounded good. Whoa, look at that.
Yeah, we're still getting tire spin too, though.
All right, Sam, 1,038 horsepower.
Yeah, we're getting there.
So give us your take on what's going on here.
Yeah, actually, man, it's exactly what I expected for the most part. The torque's a little low, but we've got a regular radial on it, so we're getting some tire spin down low, so that's an issue. But
does that affect the overall horsepower?
No, because the horsepower is going to peak up higher. It's going to affect torque number though, so the torque number should definitely be a little bit higher than that. But we'll work on that. We're going to get another set of tires on here with a better adhesion, and we'll go from there.
Which graph is this here?
Okay, so this right here is the green line. In this particular one is TPS. Okay, once it goes up to past the transmission limiter that we're seeing, you'll see the TPS goes.
Right, so go back to this spot here, so you could see the transmission is limiting wide open throttle, and its engine's already at 6,500
right.
RPM. So now it starts to ramp the throttle wide open, and then you're at 68. So
yep.
at 6,800, you have wide open throttle.
Yeah, basically. And you can watch over here on the desired air source, and you go from the transmission to default, which is basically allowing it to go full throttle.
Right, so then the rest of the sweep.
Yeah, it's full throttle, the rest all the way up.
So on that last pull, what did we see? We still have 1,000 rear wheel horsepower.
Yeah, I think it was 1,038 or something right around there. Let's see. Yeah, the peak was 1,034.
All right, Sam, so what's next for the GT500 here at Coastal?
Well, the next things are going to be getting it back to the track, getting some more data, working on, you know, the transmission tuning obviously is the biggest thing that we're waiting on now. So if we can get through that, we should be on to, I would say, being able to make well over 800 to 900 foot-pounds of torque, and along with that 1,000 wheel horsepower. But we'll see how it goes. That's just something that we're working on, and it may be another 2 weeks, as everybody says, or it may be another 2 months. We're just going to have to wait and see.
All right, so there you have it, over 1,000 at the wheels. Sam's talked about what we're going to do next. We got to get this thing to the track. Once again, thanks for checking out the channel. Be sure to subscribe, and make sure you stay safe out there. Have a great day.
Wash your hands.